What if you cried out to God in your darkest hour, and He answered through a violent, roaring whirlwind? Job had lost everything. His livestock, his servants, his wealth, even his children, all gone in a series of unthinkable tragedies. Covered in painful boils, abandoned by his friends' compassion, and accused by those closest to him, Job sat in ashes, broken and confused. He had done nothing wrong. He had honored God. And yet, suffering crushed him like a storm. Through his pain, Job cried out, not with rebellion, but with desperation. "Why, God?" he pleaded. "Why was I even born? What sin could justify such agony?" His voice rose through the silence. Day after day, the heavens seemed mute. His friends insisted he must be guilty. His wife told him to curse God and die. But Job, though shaken, refused to turn from God. He didn't want easy answers, he wanted God Himself, and then God showed up, but not gently. Not quietly. Not in a dream or whisper. God responded in a thunderous, terrifying form from the heart of a whirlwind. Job 38 opens with these words, "Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, the ground shook. The winds howled. The skies roared." In the midst of the chaos, a voice, divine, commanding, and unstoppable, cut through the air. But instead of comforting Job, God questioned him. He didn't explain Job's suffering. He didn't apologize. He didn't reveal Satan's role in the heavenly wager. Instead, He asked, "Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge?" God then launched into one of the most powerful speeches in all of Scripture. He thundered, "Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you understand." The Almighty took Job and every listener since on a journey through creation. He spoke of stars and seas, of light and darkness, of storehouses of snow and the birth of dawn. He asked Job if he could bind the chains of the Pleiades or loosen Orion's belt. Could he command the lightning? Could he provide for the raven? Could he tame the wild ox or understand the instincts of the mountain goat? Each question wasn't meant to mock Job, it was to reveal the unfathomable depth of God's wisdom and the severe limits of human understanding. In that whirlwind, Job saw clearly, his suffering wasn't about guilt or punishment. It was about trusting a God whose power and perspective go far beyond human logic. God wasn't being cruel, He was reminding Job that even in the silence, even in suffering, He was still in control. That storm wasn't just noise, it was the voice of the Creator, humbling Job with love and awe. And Job, once desperate for answers, now found peace not in knowing why, but in knowing who was still speaking. What's profound is that God didn't show up until the very end of Job's trial. He let Job wrestle. He let Job weep. He let Job question. And then, when the time was right, He came, not with soft words, but with a whirlwind. And still, that whirlwind became the turning point of Job's healing. All you've heard is silence. But silence is not absence. And when He does speak, it may not be in the way you expect. Sometimes He comes in the fire. Sometimes in the whisper. But other times, in the storm. Don't mistake the storm for abandonment. Sometimes, that's when He's closest, and in the end, Job didn't just hear God, he saw Him. And his heart changed forever. He said, "I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes have seen you." Job's blessings were restored. His strength renewed. But more than anything, he gained a deeper relationship with God, one forged not in comfort, but in the storm. That if you've ever felt like Job, forgotten, misunderstood, broken, know this, your cries are not lost. Your pain is not wasted. God sees. And when He comes, He may not give answers, but He always gives Himself. If you believe God is still speaking even in your whirlwind, come and speak, Lord below. Share this with someone who needs hope in their storm.